We're now going to look at layer properties within our particular drawing. Now our building line at the moment, as you can see there, is a green continuous line. And on our properties panel there, it tells us that it's using a continuous line type, a normal line weight, and it's by layer on the colour because it's using the green colour of the building line layer there. I'll just hit escape there to deselect it. Let's say, for example, I wanted to lock down this building line layer. I didn't want anybody editing it. I can go to the Layers panel here and go to the Layer Properties Manager. And what I can do there's my building line layer. What I'll do is I'm going to make 0 the current layer by double clicking, like so. So that's the current layer. And then I'm going to lock my building line layer by clicking on the padlock. Now I've got settings here in the Layer Properties Manager by clicking on the little spanner here, or wrench, if you want to use the American terminology there. And these are my layer settings. I'm going to look here at Isolate Layer Settings. If I lock and fade, the lock layer is faded by 50%. So the layer actually looks a little bit faded, and current layers look more vibrant. The good thing about that is then you can see which layers are locked and which ones aren't. So if I OK that now, and then close the Layer Properties Manager, my actual building line layer, you can see it's faded. It's much less green than it was. And if I hover over it, I get a little lock icon there telling me that that layer is locked. Now if I want to change the properties of that layer, I have to make sure that I go here to the layer pull down, and I can click on the lock here, and that will unlock my building line layer. Notice the color change. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this layer here, and I'm going to actually change some of the properties of it. So let's go to the Layer Properties Manager. What I'm going to do here is change the line type. Building line at the moment is actually using a continuous line type. I'm going to load that up, and I've only got the one line type loaded in the drawing. So I click on Load. AutoCAD has got plenty of default line types I can use. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to use Hidden X2, which is basically a hidden dashed line where the dashes and the spaces are twice as big as the default. I click on OK, I select Hidden X2 and OK it, and it applies it to my building line layer. So anything drawn on that layer now has that line type. If I close the Layer Properties Manager and zoom in on the corner here, you can see that there are dashes there. Yeah? What I need to do though is they're quite small. So I click here, and what I'm going to do is change their line type scale. I'm going to make them much bigger. So I right click and go to Properties on the shortcut menu. And in the line type scale box here, I'm going to change that to 20 and make all the dashes and spaces 20 times bigger. I'll press enter, and what you'll find is they will be much bigger now. If I close the Properties palette and zoom out on my wheel mouse, look, they're much bigger now, and they're much easily more distinguishable on the drawing. If I hit escape now, you can see that I've got a dashed line there. Now what I'm going to do as well is show you the Properties panel. If I click on this particular building line, you'll see that it's using the by layer option for color. I'm going to change that to red. Now that has got an individual color now. Notice I can do the same for line weight. I can change it individually or apply a line weight by layer. Same with the line type. Notice I can go by layer or by block or continuous or hidden X2. If I go to other, that will allow me to load other line types. So all I've changed there right now though is the color. Now the problem here is this has now got an individual color. So if I go to the Layer Properties Manager here and change the color of the building line layer, all objects on the building line layer that are using the by layer setting for their color will change. Let's do that. I'll go to color 80 there, change it to this blue here, which is color 150. I click on OK, and the building line layer is now color 150. I close the Layer Properties Manager, and look, my building line hasn't changed. That's because it's got its own individual color at the moment, which is red. If I click on it though, and go to the Properties panel here, and click on the down arrow for color, and go by layer, it will now adopt the color of the layer it's drawn on. So if I hit escape now, it's adopted that blue color that here the building line layer has. So that's where your properties are changed in either the Layer Properties Manager or in the properties panel over here.